Hello everyone. Thank you all for watching the video and leaving meaningful comments. Wishing everyone good health and happiness.
I was taken to the police station to work on a cold morning. Outside the headquarters, the quiet scene of the mountain forest unfolded, but inside the office, the atmosphere was solemn and tense. As I stepped in, the eyes of the police officers followed my every move. The small room, with its simple desk and a red banner on the wall that read, "National Day for All People to Protect Homeland Security," added to the sense of formality. One officer sat in front of me, holding a pen and taking notes, while another stared at me intently, as if trying to read my mind. They began questioning me about whether I had taken the house documents from my ex-husband's family. Their voices were clear, and each question was asked seriously. I tried to stay calm and answered firmly that I had not taken those documents. "I didn't take them," I said, looking straight at them to show my sincerity. The officers continued asking for more details related to the case, from time and location to relationships within my ex-husband's family. I answered each question clearly and honestly. The interrogation process lasted quite a while, but I maintained a cooperative attitude throughout. After completing my statement, the officers told me I could leave. I stepped out of that small room feeling relieved yet full of worry. On my way home, it felt as though a heavy burden was weighing on my shoulders. Despite my efforts to prove my innocence, I still didn't know whether my ex-husband's family would trust me. Meanwhile, at my ex-husband's house, the atmosphere was entirely different. Mr. Powell's family was engaged in a heated argument about who had taken the house documents. My former mother-in-law suspected that it was me who did it. She repeatedly brought up instances when I visited their house and questioned whether I had any ulterior motives. However, she didn't rule out the possibility that Linda, the new wife of Mr. Powell, was the culprit. Mr. Powell immediately defended Linda against his mother's suspicions. "Linda couldn't have done it," he said firmly. "She's pregnant with my child." Nevertheless, his mother remained unconvinced and demanded that Mr. Powell go find Linda to clarify everything. Reluctantly, Mr. Powell agreed and began his search for Linda. He went from house to house in the village asking for news about Linda but only received head shakes or vague answers. After searching fruitlessly for a while, he sat down by the roadside under the shade of a green tree to rest. His eyes were heavy with thought, worried about Linda and troubled by the loss of the house documents. In the simple wooden house of my ex-husband's family, the discussions continued relentlessly. My former mother-in-law expressed her disappointment and frustration over this unexpected loss. She was both suspicious and worried about the future of their family if the house documents were not recovered soon. Others in the household began putting forward their own theories about who might be responsible, making the atmosphere increasingly tense. As for me, on my way home after working with the police, my heart was filled with unease and anxiety. I wondered whether the truth would soon come to light and whether I could prove my innocence against these baseless accusations. The surrounding mountain forest seemed darker as my mind sank deeper into chaotic thoughts. After being released from the police station, I returned home with a heavy heart. Not wanting to let negative thoughts consume me, I decided to take a knife and head into the forest to chop firewood. The path leading to the forest was rugged, filled with bushes and fallen dry leaves. I walked slowly, feeling both anxious and trying to focus on the task at hand. When I reached the forest, I chose a quiet corner where there were plenty of dry trees suitable for firewood. Each strike of the knife against the tree trunk echoed through the stillness of the mountain forest. While I was diligently working, James, a friend I had known for some time, was trying to help me. He didn't believe that I was the one who took the house documents from Mr. Powell's family. Sitting in his luxurious car, he made phone calls to arrange a meeting with friends at a cafe to gather more information about me. The cafe was located in a small town, with walls decorated with refreshing images of nature. James walked in, sat down at a table with two friends, and started the conversation. Their discussion was lively. His friends revealed surprising information. Linda, the new wife of Mr. Powell, was not her real name. Her real name was Tra, and she was known as a professional con artist. Even the pregnancy Linda claimed wasn't actually Mr. Pow's child as everyone believed. This information left James shocked and deeply disappointed. He sat quietly for a long time, his gaze distant as he pondered what he had just learned. After discovering the truth about Linda, James excused himself from his friends and left early. As he stepped out of the cafe, his heart was heavy with thoughts about how he could help me in this difficult situation. Meanwhile, I continued my work in the forest. The strikes of my knife repeatedly hit the hard tree trunks, sweat soaking through my shirt, but I didn't stop. I reminded myself that I had to work hard to earn money and get through these tough days. As the sun began to set and its weak rays filtered through the forest canopy, I had managed to chop a decent amount of firewood. Looking at the pile before me, I felt that I had accomplished something useful, however small it might be. Yet somewhere deep inside, there remained sadness and unease about the baseless accusations I had been enduring. Sitting beside the pile of firewood, my eyes gazed far into the horizon as if searching for a glimmer of hope for the future ahead. After a hard day's work in the forest, I had chopped a substantial amount of firewood. The dry, sturdy logs were neatly stacked into a large bundle. The bundle was bigger than me and incredibly heavy, but I mustered all my strength to tie it securely and prepare to carry it down the mountain. Sweat soaked through my shirt, dripping onto the ground, but I didn't stop. With calloused hands and aching legs, I lifted the bundle onto my shoulder and took heavy steps along the rocky, sloping path. The journey from the forest to the village was far from easy. I had to stop multiple times to rest because the bundle was too heavy. Each time I set it down, I sat by the roadside, my gaze fixed far ahead as if searching for a glimmer of hope. When I finally reached the main road, I started going door to door in the village to see if anyone wanted to buy firewood. I knocked on each door, but all I received were polite refusals and headshakes. With every rejection, my heart grew heavier. My weary steps dragged along the dusty road, but I refused to give up. I told myself that I had to keep trying harder to earn money and make ends meet. By late afternoon, as the sun disappeared behind distant mountain ranges, I still hadn't sold a single bundle of firewood. Despite this, I patiently continued walking along the village road in hopes of finding someone who would buy. The bundle on my shoulder grew heavier with each passing moment, and my legs felt like they might give way under the strain. Yet my determined eyes remained fixed forward, toward the narrow path that held a faint glimmer of hope in this life full of hardship. As the evening approached, I carried the heavy bundle of firewood along the dirt road leading to the village. The bundle, larger than myself and tightly secured with rope, weighed heavily on my aching shoulders. I walked slowly, my eyes fixed ahead with the hope of finding a buyer. The village road was quiet, with only the sound of the wind rustling through the roadside trees and my heavy footsteps echoing on the ground. At that moment, James was at his family's lumberyard inspecting operations. The large yard buzzed with activity, saws running continuously and workers busy stacking wood into piles. James moved between different areas, discussing product quality and work progress with the employees. While talking, he happened to notice me walking past the road near the lumberyard, carrying my bundle of firewood. He called out to me, his voice warm and full of concern. I stopped, set down the bundle, and looked at him in surprise. He offered to buy my firewood for 50,000 VND. I was taken aback but also overjoyed that I had finally sold the bundle after a long and exhausting day. I accepted the money from him and was about to leave when he unexpectedly ran after me. James gently asked me about the story of the missing house documents from my ex-husband's family. His voice was filled with empathy, as though he wanted to help ease the burdens weighing on my mind. He even offered to assist me if I needed help, but I declined his offer. Although I knew he genuinely wanted to help, I didn't want to trouble or rely on anyone. I continued walking along the narrow path leading home, my small figure gradually disappearing behind the winding turns. James stood silently watching me leave, his eyes filled with thought and concern about my situation. The last rays of sunlight faded from the sky, leaving behind a peaceful yet melancholic scene in this remote mountain forest.